The views and opinions expressed on In Touch are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the official party or position of Backyard Broadcasting. Any content provided by our guests are of their opinion, and they are not intended to malign a religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. Good morning and welcome to In Touch, a Sunday morning public affairs program dedicated to the health and welfare of the Susquehanna Valley residents. I'm your host, Joie Michaels. Join us at this time as we interview the difference makers in the community who want to help make the Susquehanna Valley a better place. This morning we're talking with Chad Hershberger, Executive Director of Camp Mount Luther. Chad visits with me to discuss the camp, what it does, how they do it, and how we can help. Let's turn now to our interview with Chad on In Touch, a locally produced service of Backyard Broadcasting.
I'm Chad Hershberger. I am the Executive Director at Camp Mount Luther, and I have been the director now. This is my 21st year as the director, but my time here at camp goes way back to when I was in third grade. I came here as a kid in the summertime for the camp summer program and just had a fantastic time. I met new people. I got to do things that I normally wouldn't get to do in my young life as a rising fourth grader at that time, and it just made a very big impression on me, so much so that I knew that I wanted to come back as much as I could as a kid, and I did for all the years I was in school up until I was in high school, and then I graduated from high school, and the next day literally got in the car, all packed up, and came to camp as a counselor. When I was a young kid, really wanted to be a camp counselor and give back to younger people the same kind of things that I had experienced when I was a kid. So I was here on summer staff for 5 years and got out of college, and I kind of thought the last summer that I worked here, my end of time at camp had come and gone. But interestingly enough, my first job out of school was only about half an hour away from Mount Luther. And I talked to the director at the time, who ended up being my predecessor, about serving camp in other ways. And she suggested that I get involved with the camp board. And I was on the camp board for 5 years. And eventually, when she left, decided to apply. And now I was hired and have been director for the last 21 years. So I've seen lots of different roles in my time here at camp. And I think the thing that I continue to see even now as a middle-aged adult is just the power of camp, and how things that I experienced when I was a kid are still some of the foundations and the fundamentals of what we still do today. We do a lot of stuff with small groups, giving kids the opportunity to make new friends, learn how to interact with one another in a group in a healthy way, to resolve conflict in a healthy way. They get to do things like I described, things that they've never done before. Lots of kids, when they come to camp, have never done some of the things that we do. They may never have taken long hikes in the woods. They may never have gotten to canoe. They may never have done a ropes course before. Those kind of things that we get a chance to, still today, the kids get to experience new and exciting things. Of course, we are a faith-based organization, so one of the things that we strive to do is have them connect with God, and particularly seeing God in nature. We are located outside of Mifflinburg, about 5 miles outside of town, and we have 400 acres, very beautiful site in my opinion. We can see and border some of the Bald Eagle State Forest, and we have lots of hiking trails. We have beautiful mountain views, get to see nice sunsets, especially in the summertime when we're running summer camp. So it gives the kids a chance to experience the outdoors, maybe experience God in a new way that they wouldn't have experienced in, say, a church building. That's a big part of what we do as well here at camp. We just finished our summer camping season about a month ago. Last summer, we weren't able to hold camp because of the pandemic. We were looking at alternative ways to still get kids to experience camp, so we were able to hire our summer staff that we had already contracted with last spring to come for 3 weeks of camp, and they did some leadership training. They did some service work for us here at the camp, and then they also came up with, created, and then produced a week-long virtual camp. And so we did activities online. We had some videos the kids could watch. We had activities that they could do with their parents. We gave them challenges they could do at home. One night we suggested that they sleep outside at their house, or maybe build kind of a tent or a fort inside, just to kind of get a camp experience, even though we weren't able to do that on site. So the staff worked on that, and if you're still interested, we have all of that on our website. If you go to campmountluther.org and look for the virtual CML tab, you could, if you want to have a little camp experience, especially sometime in the winter, you could go and check that out. So we were glad to have our summer camping season this year, a little less enrollment than we have been used to, but we were pleased with the number of kids we were able to serve between our on-site camp, and then we do some off-site day camps. We still had about 250 kids that we were able to serve this summer. And even though we had to do some of the pandemic precautions, like everybody else did with some social distancing and masking and such, the kids still had a good time. And one of the advantages, most of our summer program is outdoors. So as the CDC had recommended that you didn't need to wear a mask in the outdoors as much this summer, we were able to take advantage of that as well.
Now, I noticed that you have a year-round ministry. What does that entail?
Yeah, so I've basically described what we do in the summertime, but we're open year-round. We are available in the non-summer months for events and retreats. We hold some of our own events throughout the year, although right now that's a little more limited due to COVID. But we do. We have had some women's retreats. We have done men's retreats in the past. We do a youth retreat in the wintertime for kids 6th grade to 12th grade, and we're working to still do that coming up in February of 2022, should conditions allow us to do that. So we do some of those events. We hold some other fundraising events here at camp throughout the year. But then the other part of what we do is our facilities are available for groups to rent and to use the space to do their own retreats or events. Our main building, which is our Evergreen Center, our dining and activities building, it can host up to 250 people and has been used for things like wedding receptions. We've had birthday parties in there, other events such as that, so that's able to be rented out. We have some groups, both youth, mainly youth-oriented, that have rented cabins and have done retreats on weekends in the fall, winter, and springtime. And then one of our other things that we do is we host the outdoor education programs for 2 local school districts, the Shikellamy School District and Midwest School District. And what they do is they bring kids in their 5th grade classes up here. It varies depending on the district. Shikellamy is usually here a whole week, and Midwest is here 3 days, where they bring the kids and they have them engage in environmental education. We talk about sustainability and stewardship of the land, and do activities with them around some of those nature and science activities that you can learn about in the classroom, but I think it just comes alive when the kids are here for outdoor ed. So we are definitely doing things all year long. Our facilities are all winterized, and definitely if you are part of a club or group organization, you're looking for a spot to do something like that, to have a retreat, even if it was a one-day retreat, let's say, a church group, you want to come and do a day-long retreat, or if you're part of, say, I know one year the Central PA Chamber of Commerce did their board retreat here for a day. So if you're part of an organization and you'd like to check out our facilities and see if maybe something like that would work, we would definitely be interested in that. You can get information and take a virtual picture tour of our facilities on our website, and certainly call us here at the camp office or email us, and we can talk to you about more specifics and pricing.
Now, I know you just mentioned about the 2 school districts that come up to camp. Do you have any other schools that venture that direction to bring students up, or is this something that is still kind of new for a lot of school districts?
Those are the only 2 that we have. We had, for a long time, had Lewisburg also came, but they discontinued their outdoor program a number of years ago. I know some other districts do similar kind of projects. I know we're in partnership with 2 other Christian camps in our area, being Wesley Forest, which is outside of Weikert, and Chrisland, which is over near Madisonburg. I know Wesley Forest is the site for Mifflinburg. They do their outdoor ed there. I had the exciting experience last year. My daughter was in 5th grade, and she did outdoor ed with Emily and the gang up at Wesley Forest, and they do a day program, so they take their kids up just for a couple of days, and they don't spend the night. The ones that come here, they have spent the night. Last year, because of COVID, they couldn't, but both Shikellamy and Midwest, they come and are in residence for this time. So I think it's interesting because I have heard from students who have been part of the outdoor ed program, particularly in Shikellamy School District. I often hear this, that there are now adults who were kids and went to the outdoor ed program because Shikellamy's outdoor ed program started in the late 1960s, so it's been going on a long time. They said it was one of the best weeks of their life. They got to know their classmates better. They got to learn about the environment, and just the camaraderie and the fun of camp is something that they've held with them all these years later. And I also heard another anecdotal story of when Lewisburg was coming here. I knew somebody who had just moved into the Lewisburg School District, and his son was in 6th grade, and he missed out on the 5th grade camp education. And he said to me, his son really had a hard time kind of making friends and gelling with his 6th grade class because they had all been to 5th grade camp together, and they had all built these relationships through that camp experience, and it was tough for his son coming in as a new student in 6th grade to kind of get into the group because they had these bonds because they had been at camp. And I thought that was a really interesting anecdote of the power of how community is built in the camp setting. We do it in the summertime. The school districts are able to do it with their programs as well.
Thinking back, I remember I was able to come up for the 3 days. It was interesting because I never slept anywhere but my house. So this is one of those things where you get a chance to, grow up a little bit and venture out, and I learned a lot. In fact, it'll make you chuckle. I still have the necklace, the little award I won. It's a little piece of wood that had, I don't even remember what it is, but I still have that award saying that I completed something or I was successful in something, and that's actually the first award I've ever been issued. And so that meant the world to me. So I carried that, and like I said, I still have that. I'm looking back at that saying that was a great time. Now, how can parents or school boards contact you if they're interested? Like up here in Lycoming County, it's a bit of a trek, but there again, it's getting kids out of the city. How can they contact you if this is something that's a possibility?
Yeah, certainly they can email me. You can, my email is available on our website. There's a form that you can fill out. So CampMountLuther.org is the website, or you can give me a call at 570-922-1587. You mentioned the school districts in the Williamsport area. South Williamsport had done an outdoor ed program with us for a couple of years since I've been here, and they did the day program as well, and they brought kids down for the day. And I remember that the same sort of things happened. One of the teachers that was instrumental in that retired, and I think that's why that program kind of stopped. But we do have some history, too, with the Williamsport area schools. I also want to mention you, in talking about your camp experience, one of the things that I have heard from parents, and you described it very well, is how camp builds self-confidence and how kids learn things and become more independent. I've had a couple of parents in my time here as director have told me that when their kids come home, they're a little more attentive to doing their chores. They're a little more independent in what they do because we do that at camp, and they learn that. And learning it from role models, our staff, in the summertime, they look up to these college-age kids, and they want to emulate what counselors are teaching them. And it is just so fun for me to hear those stories about kids and how their daily life has changed. They're more attentive. They listen better to their parents because of what they've learned at camp.
Now, how does Camp Mount Luther raise its funds? How do you get your money?
So a big portion of our income comes from user fees. So the summer campers, of course, pay fees to be here. Our retreat and rental groups pay a fee. So they have a big chunk of our annual operating budget. But most of the rest of the budget is made up of contributions from people in the area. We get a lot of support from individuals who have connections to the camp, who are either campers of Mount Luther, or they served on staff at Mount Luther, or they're connected through the camp, through perhaps their church or some other thing. We do fundraisers as well. We are one of the biggest ones we do every year is through the Raise the Region program, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with. We consistently, in the history of Raise the Region, we've been part of it since they started that. I believe it was in 2013. We consistently have exceeded every year what we had gotten the year before. And this year, I believe, I don't have my notes in front of me for this, but we were over $20,000 of gifts that day from over 100 donors. So that has been a significant fundraising effort for us. We do a golf tournament every year, which is probably our second most significant as far as total dollars raised. That's held usually in May at the Susquehanna Valley Country Club in the Shamokin Dam area. And so one of the things with the camp, we are affiliated with the Lutheran Church in the area, and the Physical Geographic Synod, which we're affiliated with, covers 10 counties. So our main area where we get support not only in bringing in campers in the summer and user groups, but also in donations, comes from the whole north central section of Pennsylvania. So our constituency runs all the way from Mifflin-Juniata County over to Bloomsburg, Columbia County area, down into the Shamokin area and lower Northumberland County, and then all the way up to the New York border. Now, once you get up past Williamsport into Mansfield, we don't see a lot of people from that area coming this way, but that's still part of the geographical territory of our synod. And so, we rely on support from people in all those areas. And in addition to that, not only individuals, but congregations in those areas, particularly Lutheran congregations, also support us financially. So that's where most of our income comes from user fees and donations, and then our individual fundraising.
So if someone was interested, would they be able to find out more details on how they could donate or these fundraisers when they are coming up at your website?
Yes, and we have a give button on the top of the website, and there's a simple form there, and people could make donations to that. There is an upcoming fundraiser I'll tell you about that if folks want to get involved right now, it's the perfect opportunity. We are part of, by virtue of being a Lutheran camp, we are part of Lutheran Outdoor Ministries, which is a national network of all of the Lutheran camps in the United States. They're doing a program called Run for Camp on October the 24th, where we have, at Mount Luther, have paid a fee to LOM to participate, and now we are getting runners or walkers or skateboarders or bicyclists or any mode of transportation, well, not driving, but individual transportation that you can do, and asking folks to be a runner, if you will, or walker for us, and do a 5K that day. And if you can't do it that day, you can do it another day. But then you, signing up to be part of our team to do this for that event, you would get individual donations. We're asking each runner to get 5 for the camp. So last year was the first year that LOM did this, and we participated last year. Had 13 runners, raised a couple $1,000s for the camp, and it was just a fun thing to do. We got the runners and walkers to do. I think we probably had more walkers than we did runners, but got them to send pictures of them doing their activity. We posted those on social media, and it was just a fun way and a new way to raise some money for us in the fall. So that would be an opportunity. We are in the process of getting some information about that on our website, and so check out our website if you're interested in helping us out by doing your own 5K or Run for Camp. That'd be great.
And if we were looking to find you, what is the best way to find you? I imagine it'd probably be easier to put, say, an address or something in a GPS, or do you recommend something else?
So our physical address is 355 Mount Luther Lane in Mifflinburg, and we're pretty easy to find, especially if you're coming from the Williamsport area. You just take 15 south to the intersection of 45, which is there in Lewisburg at the old Lewisburg High School, which is now the Green Space Center. At the intersection of 45 and 15, you take a right onto 45 West, go on 45 West through Mifflinburg, and then just about 3 miles outside of Mifflinburg, you're going to look for the landmark Christ United Lutheran Church, which there's a big sign out front. It's an A-frame church. The locals sometimes call it the Four-Bell Church because it was created from 4 different congregations that went together, and they have all 4 of the old church bells out front. But at Christ United Lutheran Church, you would make a right-hand turn onto Pleasant Grove Road and follow the signs back here. We're about another 2.5, 3 miles from Route 45. So we're in Western Union County. Like I mentioned before, just I think a beautiful part of the state. Sometimes I often say to people, I feel like we're the best kept secret of Western Union County because we're just here, especially on this day when we're recording. The sun's out, you can see the mountains. And we would love to have you. Even if you've never been here and you're interested in just coming out and visit and getting a tour, please get in touch. I'd be happy to do that for you.
Now we ruined the secret. It's no secret anymore.
No, well, and we probably shouldn't be keeping it a secret.
There you go.
I think that we're a place that people create memories that last. You've talked about something that happened to you when you were a young child. You remember it today. It made an impact on your life. When I talk to people about their camp experience, they talk about these good memories. They forget about the things. Maybe they didn't like everything we had to eat, but they still remember those friendships. Some people still have those friendships. I know of a camper who was here as a youngster, and she and her cabin mates who live all over the United States now, they still connect with one another. They get together once in a while. We really create these memories that people have for a lifetime. And when we're going through things like the pandemic, when we are in times when we need a little pick-me-up, we need a little hope, sometimes it's my hope that people will remember their time at camp and think about, the simplicity of what we do here, think about being out in nature, enjoying God's creation, and they think about how we supported. Camp is a place where you're supported. You can be who you are. You can be yourself and be accepted for that. And for me, it's kind of, and probably why I've been involved since I was a youngster. It's sort of a little slice of heaven for me. I see a lot of things that we do at camp that the rest of the world needs. And so I would encourage folks to think about sending their children or grandchildren or nieces, nephews, neighbors, whatever. Give them the opportunity to come and experience that and create their own memories that they're going to remember for quite a long time.
Big thanks to Chad Hershberger, Executive Director of Camp Mount Luther. We talked about the camp, what it does, how they do it, and how we can help. Thanks for listening to In Touch, a locally produced service of Backyard Broadcasting. The views and opinions expressed on In Touch are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the official party or position of Backyard Broadcasting. Any content provided by our guests are of their opinion, and they are not intended to malign a religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.